It's time to get some work done to the E36. You can see that I bought some performance springs H&R. They are supposed to lower the car about inch and a half, nothing too aggressive. You can see this comes with some stickers, the usual stuff, and I also bought a new strut mount for the front shocks and for the rear. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to install those, but we'll see what is the condition of the current mount. I also bought some nuts, and that's it basically. Let me do a quick measurement of the current height up front. So from the bottom up to the top, it's about, let's see, 25 3/4 and about 65.5 centimeters. And for the rear, let's see, so for the rear it's about 24.5 inches and 62 centimeters. So let's see what's gonna be the change. First you have to remove the ABS wire from the shock, then your brake line. Take those two off, and after this just turn your steering wheel like this, and you have one bolt with a nut which is 18 millimeters. Take it out, and then you have two more bolts, one here and one on the other side. I don't know if you can see it, but take those two bolts out, and after this you have three 13 millimeters nuts, and that's it, and you will be ready to take off your front shock. You may have to use a pry bar. Just use a pry bar to pry it off, because most likely it will be stuck. You can see that I'm running a Bilstein shocks. I think that the upper mount is pretty much done. I don't think this is normal. You can see the play, and when I spin it I can hear the bearing. So I'm going to replace them. Now we need to compress the spring, and for this spring I think my cheap compressor will do the job. You can buy it from Harbor Freight. I think I bought it from there. The spring is all compressed. You can see that I can freely move the upper mount. That's how much you need to compress the spring. After this you need to take off this 22 millimeter nut. You're gonna use an impact gun, that's the easiest way. And when you are taking off the 22 millimeter nut, don't stay on the way of it. Don't stay like this. Always be on the side like this, and make sure that there is nothing on the way of the nut. It doesn't matter that the spring is compressed, it's still dangerous. Anything can happen, so your best bet is to stay on the side. Just grab your compressor and there we go. Pretty simple. And it's all done. I'm ready to put back everything together, but to what I found. This is the genuine strut mount, and this is the aftermarket one. There is a difference in the height, as you can see, and this, it will affect the height of the car, if I'm not wrong. This kind of strange, I don't know why such a difference here. So the new one, it's little over 2.5 inches, and the old one, it's 2 inches. Let's put it together and see what's gonna happen. So first is a big washer, then it's this one, and then we put this on the top, and then these two. I think I have a new nut, if I'm not mistaken, because you do need to replace those nuts. And it's all back together. I also replaced the disc boot. Now I just need to put it back and see how much this is gonna affect the height. I'm kinda disappointed, since I know that the drop, it won't be that visible, but we'll see. I didn't replace the nut. I do have a replacement nut, but I didn't, since I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this hat. If the drop is not enough, I'm gonna find a different hat, strut mount hat, whatever you want to call it. This thing on the top, the old and the new spring side by side. You can see that there is a little bit of difference in the height, not by much. First we need to compress the new spring, then we're putting this top hat on, and after this is the big washer, this washer, which is like a shield for the bearing, and then the top hat, strut mount, whatever, and then this dishwasher and the nut. And then we're gonna tie down something like this. Driver side strut mount is slightly seized and it's cracked right here on the top, so it's a good thing that I'm replacing them. The torque for these two bolts is 107 Newton meters, and the torque for the bolt and nut is 100 Newton meters. For these three nuts is 25 Newton meters. I completely forgot that I bought these plates, which are for the strut towers. They're gonna reinforce the strut towers, because it's very common for these things to crack. So I end up losing out these three nuts, and I'm just going to slide it in, since it's supposed to go over there. I was able to slide it in. I was worried that I'll have to take apart everything again, but you can see that it's possible. The reinforcement plates are installed, and if you have to do it the same way I did it, you need to lose the sway bar. Otherwise the shock won't go down enough. And now the only thing left is to torque down the top nut. It's 25 Newton meters, and this thing is not on, but you need to torque it down to 25 Newton meters. I already over torqued it anyway with the impact gun, but this is the correct torque for the top nut. And now I need to move to the rear springs, and for the rear springs I bought a thicker pad. This one is a genuine pad, but it's 15 millimeter thick, so I think it's supposed to go here on the bottom, and this way with the new springs I won't have such a huge drop on the rear, because I don't want this, otherwise it's gonna look kind of ugly. The car is low enough from the factory. And for the rear it's only one 18 millimeter bolt. Take it off, and then for the spring I think you just need to push it down. To take off the rear spring, use a pry bar. I couldn't take her off only with a pry bar, that's why I had to lose this lower arm, and then with two pry bars I was able to pop her off. She's pretty much out, and you see what is happening with one hand. This is the spring pad which I told you about, and actually it does sit right over here, and here is the new one. It's a lot thicker, you can see the difference. So it's gonna be like this. Now what I need to do is install a new spring, and then I was thinking about replacing the upper mount of the rear shock, but this is gonna be later, not today, because I have to put a brace on the rear, and that's gonna be in another video. Check this out, the new spring versus the old one, and the old one is slightly shorter than the new one, which means that with the new springs on the rear the car will sit higher, and I am not quite sure if I should install the thicker pad. I guess I'm gonna give it a shot and see what's gonna happen with the thicker pad and the new spring, but I'm guessing that the rear is gonna be higher than before, like there won't be any drop. And also I forgot that there is one more bolt on the rear, so when I completely disconnected this arm I was able to take off the spring a lot easier. The torque specification for the bolt is 100 Newton meters. If you are taking off these three bolts, they need to be torqued down to 77 Newton meters. Next time I need to buy a new bump stops, since this one is pretty much gone. And on the other side the bump stop is missing. You can see I just noticed this, but that's gonna be the next time. So now let's put the wheels back on and see what's going on. Let's see the difference. Oh, this spring needs to settle, but I'm pretty sure that the rear it will be a different story. Anyway, we need to drive the car around and let the springs settle down, and then we will see if there is any drop at all. Before the drive, the measurement is 25.5 inches, so it's slightly lowered than before, but the rear it's about an inch, 25.5. This is about an inch difference, a little less than an inch difference than before. So we'll see what's gonna happen once the springs settles down. I did a quick drive around the neighborhood, so let's see if there is any changes to the height. Well, I can say there is a little bit of change. So right now the front is sitting half inch lower than before, and let's see the rear. And the rear, it's about same as before, which is good. I mean, I'm not complaining about this. So I'll keep driving, and we will see if there will be any more changes to the height, but so far I'm kinda happy. Could be slightly lowered, but we'll see. Maybe it will go down a little bit. This is how the car looks before the drop, and this E36 is actually equipped with a sport package, which means that it does sit a little bit lower than the regular E36, and we will see how much of a drop the new springs will give me. You can see the rear is sitting pretty low. It's only a finger gap here, but this is pretty common for E36s. But the front is just crazy. 3 fingers gap. So let's install the new springs and see how the car will look. And this is after the drop. We couldn't gain too much of a drop, but it's alright. The rear is pretty much the same, and the front is slightly lowered. Should have chosen better place, but you can see how it looks. So the gap up front is about 2 fingers now, not 3, so it's much better, we can say. I was expecting a little bit more, but it's all good. The handling appeared to be exactly the same. At least I can't feel any difference, but it's okay. It's just an aesthetic improvement, and I'm quite happy that the rear didn't drop actually, since it's pretty low anyway. So I guess that's it, guys. If you're planning to buy this kind of springs, this is what you can expect. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.